yet. We ain't live yet.
All right, cool.
All right. Shout out to the real. Shout out to the fake. Shout out to that nosy chick. She better stay in her face. Get it live, punk. I said that all wrong, but it's all good. We got G Marie, the man eater. How you doing? MMA fighter, future champion. Tell me about it.
Damn, future champion. I like that. I appreciate it.
That's what we all aspire to be.
Yeah, that's nice. Everything's good. I'm very happy in life. Everything's going the way I want it to. 2023 so far has been a good year so far. I have no complaints. I'm keeping the same momentum that I had all last year. So yeah, work, family, friends, health, everything's in line. I'm very happy right now. How are you?
I'm all right. So what's going on with the fight coming up? What's the date on that?
Okay, so the date is March 11th. It's going to be in Welch, West Virginia. It's going to be a kickboxing match. It's going to be 3 2-minute rounds, amateur. And it's going to be against Brittany Vaughn, who altogether, all of her combat competitions gives her a record of 13-6. So by far, she's like the most decorated person that I'm going to meet in a ring or a cage. I'm not sure how they're going to do that. But yeah,
it's definitely going to be a ring.
I'm excited
for it. I said it's definitely going to be a ring. I did some kickboxing myself. I'm an ex-fighter myself. You know what I'm saying?
So that's it's for sure. The flyer's out. The pay-per-view link hasn't been out yet, but that's what I'm training for. My family's actually going to make the trip from Massachusetts. I'm making the trip from Florida. I'm actually going to drive over there. I'm going to make it a road trip, and I'm going to travel across country to do it. So one of my biggest takeaways from this is the fact that it's going to be the first time in like real combat world history that something like this is happening. So I'm really excited to at least make my own little mark in the combat world.
Mm-hmm. So this is the first transgender on transgender fight.
Yeah, ever. Like I've been doing my research and watching videos and reading books and seeing articles for almost more than a decade. The only time that you've seen people like me competing a lot is in Thailand, but which is crazy because it's never two of us against each other. It's never been two of us against each other in anything, any sport at all. It's always been us against the guys or those other ones that competed against females, and it ultimately ended their careers and was very viral online and on the news and stuff like that. But there's never been two trans persons, whatever you want to call it at this day and age, like meeting together in any kind of sport, let alone beating each other up in combat. So on the bright side, I think it's cool that it's kickboxing because we get to showcase our striking, and it's a higher percent. Being amateur, there we're gonna last all 6 minutes. So you guys are gonna be able to see like our skill and our heart and our everything in that match is gonna show. And I think it's gonna be exciting because the last couple of years, dating back to like when Fallon Fox started competing, there's been a back and forth with people like us in sports. And what Brittany and I have done is we've changed the narrative. We've been competing in the gender that we were born in voluntarily, and because we like it and because we love it and because we think that's the better, more right and ethical, faithful way to do it. So there's a lot at stake. But at the same time, I'm just very happy that I'm going to be a part of combat history because it's never been done before. I wish she would have picked MMA because that would have been like a real like good test. But the fact that we're doing kickboxing, I think is cool because at least we'll get to strike, and there's a good chance we're going to hug each other and like celebrate together because we were able to do it. And so I'm very happy for that part, at least.
So what type of fighting style do you use in the cage? What's your style of fighting?
Okay, so since I'm Puerto Rican Italian, raised from the hood,
Mhm.
I think about brawling. I think about like what my mom always taught us was immobilize the person, like get them off their feet, get them down to the ground, and beat their face in. That's my initial thought process. But over
Mhm.
the last 10 years, it's been like going to gyms and not confronting, but being around teams and coaches that would sharpen my skills. Because I honestly, I'm a brawler. I want to punch, kick, slam, choke, twist, everything. Like I'm a barbarian in many ways, and I'm like I have this weird killer instinct sometimes. So, if you saw my first fight, even though I don't have a lot of experience in the cage and that whole realm, like even walking out to the cage can be
It's
like
the,
anxiety. Like making that walk, you start thinking like, why the fuck am I doing this?
mhm.
So, I was able to show even in my first fight that I have potential to not be the greatest, but at least be great in what I do. So for me, I think my style is just getting in. Um, every time I'm like in the locker room right before a fight, I'm talking to my boyfriend or my brother or whoever's there, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm gunning it, cause like why I'm not here to wait. I'm here to fight. I'm like whether I win or lose, I don't give a fuck. I rather have a record that says TKO or KO on either end my entire career than to have something that went to decision because it was boring. Like I rather like go out on my shield regardless. That's why my last TKOs, I watched him like a psycho, like over and over and over, and I analyzed it. And I remember being in that moment, and I was like, man, if I would have just calmed the fuck down and breathed and took control and worked on my striking and staying away and being like controlled chaos, I probably would have lasted longer. Not necessarily would have won because that's always up in the air. You never know. But a big part of me still says like, damn, Gita, if you weren't so fucking crazy and going after them, you probably would have lasted a little bit longer. Maybe even would have won because I'll never say that given my strength and my skills and all the training that I've done in the last 10 plus years that my last two fights I couldn't win. In my mind, I still think that I could have still gave them like a good 3 rounds and maybe gone to the decision. I wouldn't say that I could have submitted them or knocked them out because like I said, that's up in the air. You never know. But I know myself. It just sucks that it hasn't been completely shown. Like I haven't been able to like really shock people and be like, damn, I don't know. Gita's a fucking monster. I wouldn't fuck with her. Like, I still don't feel like I've made that mark yet.
Mhm. And that's what you're looking to do.
Pretty much. I mean, I'm not gonna stop. Like, I'm having so much fun. I've inspired a lot of people in all walks of life. Men, women, young children already look up to me saying like they want to be like Gita when they grow up. By the way, it's not just G. My name is Gita. So
Gita. All right.
Gita Marie Figueroa is my full name. But I'm having fun because at 34 years old, I'm doing things that my parents couldn't do, get me into when I was younger because they were providing food and shelter and clothes and a good upbringing and stuff like that. We never had extra money to send us to sports and stuff like that. Like luckily I was a dancer for 11 years growing up, but that was because it was like funded through like after school programs. And I was a badass dancer. I was in a hip hop crew for 11 years. But now as an adult, I make my own money. I have my own schedule. I have my own life. And I think back to like when I was young and I'm like, now I can do it and not blame my parents. As an adult, I can go be a fighter. I can go do gymnastics. I can go play tennis if I wanted to. So right now, my main focus is MMA. And why is because it's the only thing that keeps me up at night. It's the only thing that I daydream about. It's the only thing that I have a lot of hobbies. I have a lot of talents, a lot of passions. But I feel like in order to be happy in life as an adult, you have to grab the one that really like gives you a stomach ache and butterflies and makes you feel like fire within. And MMA has always been that one. So I've always said, like, when you're writing down a story or a plan, there's a brainstorm, you put the one up top and you do a circle and then it branches out. MMA has always been at the top. MMA has always made me feel like that's what's going to get me into modeling. That's going to get me into fashion. That's going to get me into sponsorships and deals and wrestling and acting, and all that shit has always been like, the foundation has always been MMA. So that's why I'm doing it. And so, yeah, it's making me happy. And I've done great things so far. Like I'm already 3 fights last year. I got 1 booked for sure, a 1 maybe for April 1st. And then I'm already thinking about a 3rd, and we're not even halfway through the year.
Yeah, we just starting this thing. And what a lot of people don't know, when you fighting on the street and when you setting up for a match and you taking that walk down to the cage, that is a terrifying experience. And people don't know it's a big difference. It's a big difference from a piece of anger and you get mad and you just going at somebody. And it's a big difference from training and then walking down to that ring. And a lot of people can't do that. So I commend you on doing that. So you have what team are you fighting out of? What's your team?
Oh my God. So I have great news, especially for people that have been following me for a while. Give me 1 second. I have to show this off because I just got this the other day. Going forward, because a lot of people were talking shit about me not having a coach and a team last 2 fights, but I told everyone I have a passion for this. I've been fighting in the streets for a long time. You guys already saw my first fight. So I'm going to backtrack a little and go with what people are saying. So going forward, I'm training at
Muay Thai.
Fifi Muay Thai. Now it's only a mile from my house. I can now afford it. The environment is very intimate. It's not a huge school. So you get one-on-ones with the coach. You feel very comfortable. He's also a badass. Like, he literally, the way he moves and the way he talks and he does things, like, I imagine him fighting 5 guys at the bar and I'm like, ugh, he'd probably kill all of them. Like, he's one of those guys that you look at and you're like, that's like my Miyagi, that's my Yoda, that's like my master, like, he's perfect. And so I can't say that within a month I'll have them to back me and come to West Virginia, but at least I have structure, I have a schedule, I have a coach, and someone.
Hold up, time out. So when you're in the cage, who's in your corner?
The last few times, my boyfriend, my brother, friends, Big Boy, he's a bare knuckle boxer right now. He fought MMA here in Florida many times. I just create a team from family and friends that love me and have my back and believe in me. And I just send it. At the end of the day, when it comes to amateur fighting, your job is to build your career and build a resume and create a name for yourself. Like, I'm not focused on UFC and PFL and One Championship and all that shit. I'm just focused on creating my own little mini legacy as Gita Marie, Gita the Man-Eater, enjoying it. Win, lose, draw, blood, sweat, tears. I don't care. I'm just having fun with it. And I'm being like, when I'm 60 or 70 years old and I'm drinking that glass of wine on my porch, I can talk to like my family, like, damn, remember when I was a fighter? Like, I never wanted to make it to that age and be like, oh, I wish I could have done this. Like, fuck that. Like, at the end of the day, if the promotion has a fight for me, I'm going to do it. There's been even times where I've said, even if I didn't have anyone, I'd still go. I'll make weight, make my way all the way to the locker room, and then be like, hey, by the way, I lied to y'all. I don't have no one here, but can I borrow a team? Like, that's how passionate I am, that I do not give a damn. I'm going to make it to that cage. I'm going to make it to that ring, with or without the help and support from people. Because at the end of the day, it takes an army to get me there, but at the same time, it starts with this and this. Me,
Mhm.
my heart, my mind, my soul, everything in tune, telling me this is what's meant to be for you, and this is what you're gonna do, regardless of having support or not. So that's always been my mentality, and it's gotten me this far.
Mhm. So you're from Florida, or are you from Massachusetts?
So I'm originally from Massachusetts. The city I'm from is actually like no different than saying Compton or Camden or Detroit. Like I'm from the hood. It's a place called Lawrence and Methuen on the border. Puerto Rican Italian from that area, born and raised. And then slowly but surely just started like vacationing and moving to Florida until I finally stopped in 2010 and I never went back. I
All right,
started like,
so you was in Massachusetts. Tell us about your upbringing. When did you transition?
so my upbringing was, I was brought up in a city outside of Boston that was very cultural. Puerto Rican, Dominican, Black, Mexican, Cambodian, very ethnic. Like I said, hood ghetto mentality. I went through school fine. My parents raised me great, no issues growing up. I saw crime and violence and all that shit just like anyone else would in that kind of neighborhood. But my parents were young parents and they were amazing at raising us and providing for us. The only thing that they asked from us was to get the diploma because they weren't able to graduate. So I did that for my parents. When it came to my transition and all that stuff, I always kept quiet about my feelings because I'm a very observant person. I like to watch and hear my surroundings before I interject or before I include myself in any kind of conversation. So growing up, my mom especially, she was very big on teaching us everything: drugs, sex, violence, the real world. Like she had us trained by the age of 10. We had chores, we were cooking, we were doing laundry. We were able to do whatever. My first job, I think it was like 12 years old doing the paper route. Like even like going through 4 feet of snow sometimes, like she had us working and learning how to be decent, loving, caring, hardworking human beings. So when it came to my lifestyle, gender, identity, and orientation, it took me a while because, like I said, I'm very observant. And so I kept it hush hush. I played that tough guy mentality role for a long time. But slowly but surely in high school, I think is when people honestly first start getting influences from other kids and stuff like that. So that's when like the weed started and like drinking at 17 and then sex and all that stuff. So that's when I started to find myself. I didn't realize Gita until I was like 20 because I met someone else that totally blew my mind. And so I went from like, I'm gonna try and keep it short or at least more specific. I went from like being straight because that's how I was raised to like bisexual because I was like, okay, maybe I could do both. And then I went to like, oh, maybe I'm just gay. And then finally I met this girl, Brianna, and she blew my mind. I was like, what the, like, no, this is a joke. I saw Jerry Springer. You can only do like drag queen stuff. It's fake. And she was like, no, there's actual like doctors and scientists that like can help you. Like, she was like, grab my tit. And I was like, what? This is weird. Like, that's not, you can't do that. And she was like, trust me, you are exactly how I felt 5 years ago. And here's the card. She gave me a card. Go to Boston, get yourself an appointment, talk to them and see what happens. Literally, just like that, I went to the, whatchamacallit, to that doctor's office. And within like a week, I was on hormones and completely started to change my life. And it felt so right, like my wardrobe and makeup and hair. And I was like, this is what I was waiting for. Like, this makes sense. And I know it could be a little cliche or even like a little vanity or vain that I associated makeup and hair and all that stuff, but that's what made sense in the mirror, because for a long time I would look in the mirror, I'm like, I'm a little bitch. Like, I'm not tall. I'm not like a big manly man. I couldn't grow a beard. I had these skinny little legs. I had like this little waist. People would be like, oh, you walk like a girl. Like, I was just like, what the fuck is up? I'm trying so hard to be a man, but I don't even look like one in the mirror. I was chivalrous. I was a badass. I was athletic, but when it came to like looking in the mirror, that shit was my enemy. I hated the mirror. I hated it. And so when I matched it, it just became so natural to my family, to my friends, to myself. Like Gita was what I should have been the entire time. And I'll never deny my past. I didn't have a bad past. I mean, I love all of me. If anything, I think I upgraded myself, because now for the past, I'm going on 14 years like this. For the past 14 years, I've been super happy. I've been killing it. I consider myself a warrior of life. Like, I've conquered literally every feat I've ever wanted to do. I've been able to do everything, live a very comfortable, happy life. I mean, even under the radar for a long time, like, the only thing right now that's really exploiting me is the fact that I'm competing. Otherwise, y'all wouldn't have known me. I would have just lived my happy-go-lucky life, just being Gita, living her life with her family and friends. But this is the only thing that's really like brought some kind of like hype or drama into my life, because otherwise I'd be fine just being a regular old chick.
So you talk about dancing. I'm just asking you a question. Did your girlfriends suspect something back then?
So I stopped having girlfriends in middle school.
All right.
I got away with it because all we did was like hug, kiss in the mouth, and like hold hands and stuff like that. But when I got to high school, that's when I was like, It was like I was just friends from that point on. I stopped. I had a lot of girlfriends, but it was never anything like, oh my God, girls. Like, I've never felt that way. I mean, I love them. I respect them. I love emulating what it is to be a beautiful, powerful woman. I love to protect them and care for them. I have 4 beautiful sisters. I have a mother and a stepmother. I have so many homegirls. They're cute little babies to me. Like, I still have that mentality of protecting women and children and animals in my heart, and it will never go away. But to be like sexual with one, like, I've dabbled with couples and like I've done my fair share, but I'm like, y'all are cute, but you guys don't do it like men do.
So when you was dancing, what kind of dancing was you doing?
So remember way back, like when like they had a lot of like dance crew movies, like You Got Served and all that shit. Well, I was before that time. Like, I was in like hip hop dance crew called Urban X. Like I said, for 11 years. So we would perform. We would get all the latest tracks on the radio, make a mix, make the dance, and then perform at like festivals and parades, quinceañeras, private parties, competitions, talent shows all over the city. Like really good dancing too.
All right, and this was when you was a guy.
Yes. I mean, right now, I think about it all the time. Imagine if I would have looked like this and would have been I would have been so badass. Like, I still can dance. I'm not even gonna lie. If I was to learn an 8 count right now, I'd probably fucking do it within an hour. I can perform it after. Like, I'm that skilled when it comes to choreography.
So you was in Massachusetts. What year did you move to Florida?
I think it was like 2012. Because I know 2010, I was like in transition, like going back and forth.
So what was the hardest part about transitioning? Did anything make it hard? What was the most difficult thing for you to deal with?
Honestly, it was physical. Like, I would say like the facial hair. That was the only thing that fucking pissed me off. Because one, I couldn't grow a beard, and then two, like it was just like hindering my transition. When it comes to maybe family and friends, a good like 95% already were like, I mean, you're doing a great job at it. So like they weren't mad. And I've always, I'm not even gonna like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I've always been that go-to person that you can like cry on their shoulder. I was always caring, nurturing, loving, respectful. Like I was the easiest kid for my parents to raise. Like I was a bully beater. Like I always went against bad people. I always protected my friends. I was respectful to everyone. So ultimately, what it ended up doing is it ended up putting like a block. Anything that I did that people would normally judge, they were like, oh, we can't be mad at them. They're a great person. So I always had that as my protection shield, because I've always said it. If you do good you do right by your friends, by your family, if you're respectful, if you're respectable, if you're that person that people want to invite to the party for like a good time, and the people trust you with secrets and all that stuff, and people love you and want your energy around, you can do whatever the fuck you want in life. And that's how I've always been. So if I could choose one hardship, was probably my dad. It took him like 3 years to get over it. But then once he got over it, he became my biggest fan. Like he's my biggest supporter right now. And he's very impressed by me and like how I've done it. And like, he's just like, I just can't deny you. One, you're beautiful as fuck. Two, you're super nice. You always look for me. You still treat me like I'm the best dad in the world. And like, you've become such a great, inspiring adult aside from all of that. So that was one of I guess my toughest would be my dad, because I always wanted to make him proud, but also do what I wanted to do in my life, because you can't live all your life pleasing your parents if it's making you miserable. So I'm glad that all the stars aligned and my father and I are super close now.
So how was that conversation when y'all first had it?
He actually found out through a fucking snitch.
Who snitched on you? Who snitched on you?
I still don't know to this day, which is not even like a big deal, but someone told him about me being the way I was, and it was hard for him. And I remember one time, I don't know if he'll remember this, but we were sitting down, right? And we were watching TV, and Ricky Martin had just come out of the closet, and he was like, oh, fucking F-bomb and all this shit. Like, how is he supposed to be Puerto Rican? And I started like trembling in the chair. And I was like, in my head, I was like, man, fuck this. And I looked at him, I was like, what's the big deal? I'm just like him. And his face nearly blew up. and I was like, yeah, now what? And I got up and I slammed the door and I left. And then that was like 3 years after. We never talked and whatever. And that was when I started the whole process of Gita and like my wardrobe, my hair, makeup, all that stuff. And then fast forward to my cousin's quinceañera. I'm already in Florida and I'm dressed. I still have pictures and videos of when we like met up like that. And everyone in the family knew that my dad's name is Jacko. They were like, we invited Jacko and we invited Gita. If something happens, you guys got to get in, because like my dad had threatened to like fucking put hands on me at some point because he was so angry. Mind you, I give him a pass because I was his firstborn male and I was junior, and I was like the one that most looked like him. So I took all of that shit away from him. So I know that deep down that hurt. But that's besides the point. Anyways, I walk in looking like a fucking Miami, fucking Paris model, head to toe. My sisters and my cousins are like, this bitch, she could never just relax when it comes to a party. And then my dad comes out of nowhere and everyone's just standing looking like to see what's going to happen. And his eyes get watery and he puts his arms out and I'm like, oh shit. So I ran to him and we hugged and we kissed, obviously in the cheek, and we embraced each other. And he was like, I just want to tell you that I love you and I respect you. And I'm never going to do what I did again. And I'm very proud of you and the person that you've become. And you're, I want to let you know you are my daughter. And I was like, we cried. And then we ended up dancing salsa and they recorded it. It was a cute moment. It was like 7 or 8 years ago now. But it was like, it was a great moment that we had. And ever since then, he's coming to my March 11th fight. He's either going to fly or drive. And you'll see him. He'll be waving the Puerto Rican flag because like growing up, my dad was the one that put boxing in my face. And a little story as to how I became passionate about combat sports was my dad would throw HBO parties. And we grew up on Tito Trinidad and Camacho and all the badass Puerto Rican boxers, which you probably have heard their names before. And if you know a Puerto Rican, you know that we're very passionate and prideful of our sports and our athletes. And so he would throw these parties and I was always sitting in the front on the floor, like watching him because he was like, he'll have a beer in hand and he'll be like foaming out of the mouth and be like, yeah. And I was like, oh, wow, dad likes this. So then one of my cousins became a boxer and my dad lost it. It was like his favorite thing. Like he was like, oh, we have a family boxer. So he went ham on like supporting my cousin. And my cousin and I are only 2 years apart. Oh shit, look at who came out. You see down there?
Oh, what's that, a lizard?
Yeah, she lives under my bed. She's a free-range tegu. Wait, let me open the door. Huh?
Bring it over here.
I can't. She won't let me pick her up.
Oh, she won't?
No, she's like 25 pounds too. Let me see if I can get you a close-up. Say hi, Karna. Yeah, let me open the door because she has to go to her post. Give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, she comes out around this time and then she goes and she hangs out in the kitchen. But yeah, so he started supporting my cousin and I got jealous. I was like, what the fuck? Like, we're only 2 years apart. Why don't you put me in boxing and let me be your little badass boxer? So for a long time, I had like the vendetta against my cousin, but then we became close. And then my cousin started teaching me how to fight. And so, damn, this fucking thing is annoying. Anyways, so my cousin started teaching me how to box and wrestle in the backyard. So we would like play manhunt. Then we would wrestle. Then we would box each other. And I like punching and getting punched just felt good. It felt normal to me. So that's really where it comes from. Just like my father, my cousins, and like just backyard brawling and shit like that. So now I'm making it like my career.
So let me ask you, being that you've been on hormones for like 14 years, right?
No. I've been Gita Marie for 14 years, but I stopped my hormones like 8 years ago.
All right. So does that, because you be fighting a lot of men, does that put you at a disadvantage?
No, I stopped taking my hormones like 7 or 8 years ago now. And even regardless of that, like I've always been strong. I've always been agile. I've always been athletic. I've always been into eating healthy and being fit and like reversing time and wanting to look young for the rest of my life. Like I've always been like that. So when it comes to like all of that together, I've never not once thought, oh, I want to compete with the girls or the females. Like I've never thought about that. And for me, if you see my last 3 fights, the last 2 went the only first round TKO. But even in that 1 minute and 30 seconds, you can see that I was strong enough to like my second fight when Shane kicked me and I grabbed his leg and threw him across the fucking cage. That wasn't because he tripped. That was because I threw his ass. Like I'm physically.
So what is your record?
1-2.
You're 1-2. All right. So you've been knocked out before?
Yeah. Well, TKOs. Like
you gassed out?
I wasn't passed out. No.
No, gassed out.
Gassed out. No. I mean, yeah, the first 2 fights you can see that I was like gassed out. But like knocked out, where like I had to go on a stretcher, medical, all that shit. No, like when I was TKO'd the last 2 times, I got up as soon as it was like, as soon as I could. Like it was within seconds that I was up trying to figure out like what was happening next, and they stopped both fights. But no, I mean, I've gotten like hit hard enough to be dropped, yeah, and that shit hurt. But I haven't been knocked out yet, which is not something I want to, but I honestly don't give a fuck, because I know that I'm capable of doing it to someone else. I know for a fact I am.
All right. So when you're fighting in the cage, so out of all the fights you had, you know what I'm saying, what is your most proud moment dealing with all that?
Ooh, my most proud moment is making it all 9 minutes in my first fight, because if you watch it without being biased, without capping on my cardio, I showed a little bit of boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, judo, and a mix of striking, Muay Thai, kickboxing. I showed all those disciplines in 3 rounds, regardless of me being an amateur, it being my first fight, and also my cardio wasn't where it's supposed to be. But that was my proudest moment, because it was my first fight and I was able to showcase, like any real master sensei coach will look at that and be like, it's a little different. I'm not used to training people like that. But Gita showed literally everything that I look for in a fighter. So I'm willing to train or put her on the team. Like, I feel confident that that's what I put out there in my first fight.
Well, a lot of, the amateurs is about learning. So once you turn pro, your record doesn't matter. They had plenty of champions that lost plenty of fights and went on to have great careers. So that doesn't mean nothing. You're there to learn. And of course, you're there to win too. So being that you've been through those challenges, you talked about being a little bit out of control. And I've been through that. I've been through fights where I've been a little bit out of control. And then I've been through fights where after I've been trained, I've been a little bit too relaxed. Too relaxed. So what kind of Gita are we going to see coming out the gate now? You got a little bit of experience. You've been through some fights. You see what it feels like to lose. It feels what it feels like.
So I've been thinking about it, and like, so if I give you a few names in MMA, are you going to be able to be like, yep, it makes sense?
Shoot away, shoot away.
Okay, so how I want to approach this fight, because it's kickboxing, I only got 6 minutes to show my ass. Okay? 6 minutes, that's it. I'm going in with Valentina Shevchenko, Holly Holm vibe.
Holly Holm. All right, I know Holly Holm.
So I'm looking at being active. Obviously, keeping my distance, but striking, because you only get 2 minutes each round. 2 minutes is nothing.
It's a lot to somebody.
And here's my thing: I'm always, if you look at all 3 of my fights, I've always been going forward. I don't wait for a motherfucker to come up to me. I'm going forward. Whatever happens, happens. Let's duke it out. Let's meet in the middle. I will forever have that. So controlled chaos, a lot of striking, but also don't be irresponsible. I'm gonna do my best not to be irresponsible. I want to duke it out. I want us to punch and kick the shit out of each other for 6 minutes and like have that whole place jumping up, being proud of us.
Are you gonna win? Are you gonna win?
You're gonna have to get the pay-per-view to find out.
win or you gonna lose.
It don't matter.
It don't matter. So it's just
It
about
doesn't
competing.
matter. I did. You know what? There's some things that you can't ask of God. You find out in the moment.
All right. So now let's fast forward. We talk about Brady Bunch. This is how you got here. Brady Bunch has put me on a long line of people, and I met a lot of interesting people, and I'm happy to meet you. And so what about Brady Bunch? She wants to knock your head off, choke you out, put you to sleep. What you got to say about that?
Honestly, I thought about this, and I was like, I'm going to keep it cute.
Oh, you know, keep it cute. That's not what you told me.
You know what?
And
at the end of the day,
you've been talking some shit. You said you've been talking a lot.
At the end of the day, there are some people, my mom taught me this rule growing up. At the end of the day, there are people in this world that you sit down, you have a conversation, you agree to disagree, and then you like let bygones be bygones. We're not going to be friends. We're not going to be cool. It's fine. I don't give a fuck. But this bitch has called me out my name a little too many times. And here's the thing. I don't know if it's just Gita being Gita or because of the way my parents raised me or being from the hood. But at this point, right now, I don't want to talk. I don't want to text. I don't want to do this back and forth. I'm literally to the point where I'll be like, here's the location and meet me. No coaches, no team, no nothing. Whoever comes out of the alley alive wins. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, the bitch has talked too much shit. She has no record. Like, she's a constant troll and hater online. She's calling out people like Caitlyn Jenner, Lamar Odom, Andy Dick, that one cool black kid that
Lil Nas X.
Yeah, like that's just stupid. No wonder his fans want to fucking take you out and cancel you. Like, you've made a name for yourself by talking shit. You're like literally the Dylan Dennis of like the LGBT community. Like, all you do is run your mouth. You have no real record, like no real sanction commission knows about you. You're not building shit. Like, she's just annoying. And at this point, I just want to knock her fucking face in. Like, I honestly didn't want to say anything, but now it's just like, I can't let it go. Like, if there's one thing that my friends and family know about me, like, look, I'm shaking. Like, and she's not even here. She's like 12 states away. One thing you do not do is fuck with someone that's a really nice person. I can fight. I can back my talk up. And at this point, it's like, if you're really going to try to defame my name online and accuse me of things that are not true, and then call me a fraud with everything that I've done for our community and for the sport and for the lifestyle that we live, bro, like, you're fucking lame. At this point, I'd be the type of person to slap her at the weigh-ins. I'd be the type of person to fight her even after the fight is done. Like, that's how mad she has me. So, she's winning. She's getting under my skin. But at the end of the day, there are certain people in this place, in this world that you don't fuck with. I'm one of them. Like, I forget the hair and makeup and nails and all that stuff. I can fight you professionally or amateur by the rules, or I can literally pin you down to the ground and take your teeth out your mouth. Like, you need to decide which one. But at the end of the day, she's a lame-o. She's not doing anything for my record, anything for my career. Even if I fought her, she keeps trying to like book charities and exhibitions. Like, no, bitch, I want you to be able to read every day on the internet that I whooped your ass and it was a 1 on my record. Like, stop trying to book me for charity. I mean, that'd be cute in 10 years when I'm done with my career. But literally, if you Google celebrity boxing or that other influencer shit, it's literally like a circus. It's like Celebrity Deathmatch on MTV from like 20 years ago. They're just putting fucking random people to punch each other for money. It's fun. It's cool. I would do it. Fucking drink a beer while I'm even doing it. Like, have fun and enjoy it because it's a spectacle. But you're not doing anything for yourself, let alone gonna do anything for me. So, I mean, it is what it is. I would love to fight her, but here's my message to her. Please, if you're going to offer me something, offer me MMA so I could body you.
Shout out to the real. You heard it here first. So let me talk about something real quick. You said you had a boyfriend. How long you guys been together?
We're going to go on 3 years in May.
And he's very supportive of your career. He's in your corner. How is that?
He's like the most amazing human I know, still to this day. His heart is pure. He's just so loving and caring. Like, he has his faults like everyone else, and like shit that we don't agree on or like we debate all the time. But that's my best friend. He's been in my corner all 3 fights, and he's making the trip with me to West Virginia. If I can clone him and give him away to all the women in the world, I think they'd be the happiest bitches ever.
So is this his first, trans relationship, or y'all just met and just fell in love?
We've never really gotten into that. I mean, I asked him like at the beginning, but that's obviously something between us. It's private, it's intimate, something that I really, no offense, would put out there. That's his own business, and I keep it 100 when it comes to my career is my own. My family and friends are off limits, so I'm happy. That's all you guys need to know.
All right. So let me talk about this year, 2023.
Yes.
What's 3 things? First, before I get to that, because we're almost there. Why do you call yourself the man eater? How did that come up? You was beginning to tell me that before, and I gotta get that on record.
Rowdy, Ronda Rousey, Notorious, Conor McGregor, Anderson, the Spider Silva, Ryan, Darth Vader. Everyone has an alias or an alter ego. And so my name is Gita. What rhymes with Gita? Man-eater. Being from the hood, when you have an ER, you take it out and you add AH. Man-eater. Gita the man-eater. Man-eater, not like the Urban Dictionary, the one that's like the slut that has a multiple boyfriend. More so like when you watch the news and it's like, this bear ate 7 people. The bear is then called a man-eater. So I thought of like a man-eating monster, and it went well. Gita the man-eater. And my alter ego, my alias is a man-eating monster. And I only fight men, so it made sense.
All right. Shout out to the real. So, and 3 things that gotta happen this year for this year to be successful.
3 things for this.
3 things you want to.
I'm going with 3 fights before my next birthday. Traveling to Puerto Rico to do research on my ancestry. I found out that my great grandmother's African slave, basically. Her name is Amelia Rosenda Franco. So it'd be so like Puerto Ricans. I don't know if you know, we're from 3 different races: Spaniard, African, and Taino Indian. And I just want to go back to Puerto Rico and gift myself something like that, just to go back to my roots. But definitely fighting. I have a little secret that I can definitely share without giving too much information. But in November, I filmed a reality show, and it should be coming out soon. So my biggest goals are the fighting, going to Puerto Rico, and when this show debuts and the world gets to see, because it's going to be a platform of millions. Like, a lot of people are going to get to know me for who I am because of this reality show. So I'm really excited for that. That's all the information. I can't give you any more information. Besides that, I have goals of like following in Layla's footsteps, and growing, like whenever the Olympics come around, my favorite go-to sport is gymnastics. And I just found out that one of my good friends that I've known for like 2.5 years as just an acquaintance is actually a gymnast and she's a teacher and instructor. So I'm going to transition from MMA to gymnastics to hopefully doing local wrestling stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's all gonna happen this year. Can you tell me just one more about the reality show? What kind of reality show is it? What are you guys gonna be doing?
Let me see. What can I give you? It's a competition. How about that?
All right, competition. That's good. That's good. Competition.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
I can't give you information because then I can get like sued for it.
Cool. I understand that. So, what you like the message to give the trans community? And one more thing: when you're going to book fights, have you ever been rejected because of your gender?
To be honest, that conversation has never happened.
All right. So
I'm very fortunate of WCFL and Raphael and now New Line Cage Fighting. And I just made a post about it today that if I have them in my corner, I'll be happy for the next couple of years because I'll keep booking fights in West Virginia and booking them here. And if I can get a good 10 and then retire as an amateur, like I'll be happy. I would not give a damn. At least I have the pictures and the videos to prove that I did it and I can go on to do something else. I don't care to be a professional and make millions of dollars. I'm already rich from happiness and loving myself and having an army of family and friends. Like I don't need to be famous. I would love to like be wealthy enough to have my little farm and my chickens and my fucking dogs everywhere and like being able to garden and shit. But I'm a very simple, frugal person. Aside from like the makeup and the hair, obviously I want to look good, but I already have what I need and want in life.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So outside of the lizard, outside of the dogs, what other animals do you have?
My boyfriend.
All right. All right. What's the dog's names, by the way?
So my male, the black one, is Vito Anubis. Vito means life. Anubis is the god of death. So I thought it fit very well. Kitana, the tan and white one, she's a Catahoula Pitbull mix, which ultimately makes her like an ultimate breed because on the one side, she's like a very, very all-around great hunting dog with the strength and tenacity of a pit bull. And then Karma, she's the one that I got first. She's an Argentine Tegu. What's cool about them is that they're not aggressive. They're very docile. They're very easy. They're like one of the easiest pets to ever have in the world. And she can last up to 25 years. So I'm really excited to see how long she lasts with me.
What do you listen to before you get into the ring? What's your music choice? You talk about dancing to hip hop. Since this is a hip hop show, we got to get a little bit of that before you leave.
All right, so I grew up on hip hop. It's a mix. It really just depends. Whatever makes me hyper, I guess. Whatever makes me want to punch shit, and like, it could be hard rock, metal. It could be Sierra, Missy Elliott, Janet Jackson, like anyone that has that, like Black Eyed Peas, stuff like that, like very like pumping music that you would listen to like at a nightclub in the hood.
So do you have top 5 artists that you listen to, that you grew up on and that you're passionate about?
Yes. Selena Quintanilla, that's the Taino, the Tejana singer, the one that got shot a long time ago.
Yes.
Beyonce, Janet Jackson, Whitney, Mariah. I listen to all kinds of shit, but I have soul in my blood. So I love to listen to like people like Adele and stuff like that. To get pumped up, yeah, I mean like Black Eyed Peas, Pitbull, anything that you would listen to like at a techno place. Like it's all over the place. As a hip hop dancer, we learned that music was all things, all genre. We had it was a variety of things, and I learned how to listen to the beat. And yeah, I kind of like a little bit of it. And then I'm Puerto Rican, so I know anything: salsa, merengue, bachata, reggaeton. Like I know all of that shit. Very
So,
diverse.
what is the craziest date you ever been on?
Date?
Yes.
This is random.
This is highly dysfunctional.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so I went on a date with a couple. They invited me to a club, which ended up being a strip club. Then they handed me a handle of Fireball, and they gave it to me. And the whole time, supposedly, I was drinking it like a baby in a bottle. Got to their house, and then I blacked out. I don't remember shit. I wake up strapped to a bed 2 cities away from my house. None of my clothes on me, none of my property on me. I wake up and I'm like, where am I? And then the nurses come running because I'm trying to escape. And they're like, calm down, wait. And I'm like, what happened? And then the police officer comes in. He was like, you were at this folks' house and they called the ambulance because you were unresponsive and blah, blah, blah. Apparently, I had drank the whole handle of Fireball and like went like into a coma almost. And I was like supposed to like have sex with these people because they were a couple, and they ended up getting freaked out because they were like known in the city of Tampa, and like they didn't want to get in trouble, so they just called the ambulance and left my body outside.
Wow.
So I remember the police officer was like, you have 3 choices: go home, go to jail, or get Baker acted. And I don't know if you know what that means, but Baker acted in Florida means they send you to the cuckoo place for 3 days. So I was like, I work at 5. Can I just go home? And he was like, all right, we'll have the nurse came in and she was like, well, we're not done with the IVs. So take a nap. When you wake up, the taxi will be here and you can go home. And that shit was the wildest shit. They gave me back my knife. I had a little thing of alcohol in my purse. They gave it all back. They gave me a free taxi home. And yeah, that was the wildest day ever.
All right. So tell everybody about your fight. Plug yourself in.
All right. So one more time, my name is Gita Marie Figueroa. I go by Maneater. I fight March 11th in Welch, West Virginia against Brittany Vaughn, who's 13-6. What a first time ever, trans versus trans competing with each other. So definitely check it out. We're gonna have a pay-per-view link soon. So keep an eye out for that. You can follow me here on YouTube under Gita the Maneater, or on my Instagram, which is where I post the most. I should be fighting April 1st also, but let's get through March 11th first. And let's make history, baby.
One more thing. Say shout out to the real, highly dysfunctional.
Yes. Shout out to the real, highly dysfunctional.
Thank you, Gita the Maneater. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. You're a beautiful person. Thank you for this interview. And we'll always be in contact. We connected now. So everything you got, send it over. We'll be plugging it in sporadically. I love you. Thank you for coming on. Shout out to the real, highly dysfunctional. Get in line, punk.